I know most of you guys know nothing about League of Legends. Honestly, I'd be really surprised if a good chunk of my subscribers have even played League of Legends. To be real, because I know mostly you guys know me for Smash, Multiverses, or just fighting games in general. However, I am quite excited for Project L coming, I want to say, maybe in 2024, max 2025. That's just a big assumption. I have no idea of the date, so don't quote me on anything. But League of Legends new fighting game. Of course, there's been a lot of hype all around the FGC regarding this game. Doesn't matter if you're a platform fighter extraordinaire or, of course, trained veteran in the traditional fighting game space. You are waiting for Project L and for it to basically hit the scene and see how it impacts the FGC as a whole. Now, of course, with a game of that magnitude by Riot Games, you know that their IP will definitely be making an appearance because, of course, it is a Riot Games game. But let's turn it up a notch, right? I don't think I've ever went over which characters I necessarily want for the game. Two of my most requested characters are in the base roster, being Ahri and Jinx, so don't really need to worry about that, right? But there are a lot of characters I would like in this game. However, if I had a top 5, what would it be? First and foremost, at number 5, I'm going to say that I would love for Kiana to be a part of the game. Now, in retrospect, I want to say Kiana's been out for quite some time, but still she, in my opinion, is one of the newer champs. Some of these champs have been out for a long ass time, and I'm looking at Teemo, to be honest. You know. But Kiana, in my opinion, especially with her weapon, is pretty unique, especially having the ability to shift elements to her will. Now, how she works in League of Legends, how will it transition over to a fighting game? Well, I definitely think that she can stack different kinds of debuffs or elemental effects with her weapon on her opponents, depending on what she switches to. Being able to switch elements mid-match, I think, would make not only for an interesting combo game, but of course, again, different little utilities that you can use to kind of shift the tides of a matchup or adapt to different matchups, maybe matchups that might not be that good for her. Overall, in League of Legends, I think her kit and design is fantastic, and I would like to see that translate well over to a traditional fighter. Up next, I'm going to put my boy Kane. Now, disclaimer, I actually hated Kane for a majority of his release in League of Legends. I was playing with the homies and they were telling me, dude, play Kane, because I would complain about how he could go through walls and kill you. Yes, I know. But I listened to the homies, so I picked up exactly what I hated. And what I learned is, it ain't that easy. Really. It's easy, but it's not that easy. Let's just put it that way, right? But however, I think that Kane, of course, being a scythe-wielding character and being able to shift forms would be really cool in a traditional fighter. I think scythe fighters are actually pretty dope. You don't see him too often, but sometimes you do see him. And so I think with Kane's interesting dynamic, I wonder if he's going to be able to go... Well, he can't go through walls on a traditional fighter, but will he be able to, like, shift himself out of the game? I don't know. And then, of course, his ult. Yo, can he heal off of that? See? The brain is kicking. How would that translate into a traditional fighter? And of course, you got to have like a couple edgelords in your games. Like, come on now. Like, Kane is like the staple edgelord. Why would he not be in the game? He has to be in the game. It's Kane. Come on. Hopefully, he gets more skins in this game than he ever did in League, because, whew, they did not like making skins for that character. Number 3, Kaisa. Kaisa is also one of those newer champs, in my opinion, that definitely, well, honestly, you see it with Jinx, right? They put Jinx in the game and they pretty much, translated an AD carry type character over to Project L. If you don't know what an AD carry is, it's essentially a character you're just right clicking, auto attacking over and over and over, right? So that's pretty much where the gist of their power comes from. So characters that rely heavily on their specials are kind of different, right? So to see Kaisa in the game, I think she'd be really fast. I think she's smooth. I think her design is absolutely gorgeous. And so seeing her translate right over to a traditional fighter would be dope. Because to be honest, and I'm calling it right now, I don't think I expect to see too many AD carry type characters in Project L. I just don't. But if it ends up happening, then I think that'd be really neat to see their take on her being in that game. I hope she has her dash still and everything, bro. She could be sick. Like, actually sick. Now, I wonder if her specials will actually auto-lock on people, like her Q. I wonder how that would work in Project L. Regardless, Kaisa, please. Thank you. Up next, and this might actually, if you don't know me, this might actually throw you off a little bit. Can I get Rammus? Yes. And number 2, I would love Rammus to be in Project L. Rammus is one of my favorite champions of all time. And I know what you're thinking, NAKAT, you are a fucking troll. I know, but I'm serious. How he would fight, obviously he'd roll. Obviously he'd still only be able to say a few words. Obviously, well, shit, a taunt. How would a taunt work where he basically makes you hit him? He'd have a lot of health, I'd assume. Like, if they have different healths for different characters, he'd have a lot of health. He'd be able to, if you hit him, you hurt yourself too. Oh my God. They would have to actually work from the ground up to make him even work in a fighting game. Because imagine that. You're like beating his ass, but you're hurting yourself. But he has spines on his back. It makes sense. See, the gears are kicking, but I don't think I have a perfect design in mind for how Rammus could translate to Project L. But nonetheless, it would still be super sick to see him in the game. Riot, make it happen. I want to troll. And then lastly, if you didn't already catch it, right? I mean, it's kind of right here in the camera if you notice it at all. My favorite champion in League of Legends is actually Kindred. There you go. Yes, I have a Kindred tattoo here. So, Kindred, I think, is one of the coolest design champions in the game from, I want to say, just from their aesthetic to the voice lines to what they represent. Everything about Kindred, in my opinion, is, I think, I just wish we dive more into their lore. I wish they were represented in the game a lot more too.
Ram, tell me a story.
There was once a pale man with dark hair who was very lonely.
Why was it lonely?
All things must meet this man.
The lamb and the wolf. It's just super cool, signifying life and death. Like, it's swaggy, man. And so I think Kindred, who is technically an AD carry, if you really look at it, it's like an AD carry, but it's a jungler, but you catch my drift. I think Kindred would make for one of the coolest movesets, period, in all of Project L. And if I'm thinking, if they do a direct translation over to that game, having that ult to be able to save you or even your second character, whew, I know that'll piss a lot of people off, especially if it heals you at the end too. Now, I don't know if it would work that way, of course, because maybe I'm going off the rails and that's a little bit too broken. However, I definitely think just from gameplay and aesthetic purposes, having Kindred in the game would be incredible. And that would make me insanely happy. Don't get me wrong. I'm pretty satisfied already with Ahri and Jinx, but that's because I don't think Kindred has a chance at actually getting in because I don't actually know how popular in all of League of Legends Kindred actually is. But since that character came out a long time ago, that character has always been top 1 for me. I might not be the best at playing Kindred. I have my hot games, sometimes, I'll be doing shit, you know what I mean? And then other times I'm feeding. But at the end of the day, in a fighting game, I would do my absolute best to make Kindred work. Guys, if you're interested in Project L or you play League of Legends, who are your favorite champs and who do you want to get into the game? Let me know in the comment section below. Greatly appreciate you watching today. This is NAKAT. Take it easy. Peace out. Deuces.